Hey everybody, welcome to Landscape Rescue. My name's Stuart Moore and today's video is going to be about planting in the heat.
I gotta go. I'm bored of you.
We buy clearance plants quite frequently when it's super hot because Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart are trying to kill their plants and we rescue them. That's what this is all about.
White people are crazy.
But a lot of times we bring them back to our landscape and there's no rain for 7 weeks.
I guess the rain's down in Africa.
It's nauseating. We want our plants to be in the nice cool soil, surrounded by mulch, in a fungus and bacteria rich environment where they're gonna be happy. They need water, the bringer of life, H2O. You've heard it, called by many names.
Whether a man's water is blue or not is neither here nor there.
A lot of times we rely on Mother Nature to provide that, but when it doesn't, we need to be ready to still be able to take advantage of those clearance deals. So behind me, I found a bunch of these plants. You guys have seen me buy these at Lowe's on our clearance videos. And what do you do with them, right? You got to put them in the ground, right? And you got, a lot of times we're putting them in the ground. It's going to be 102 today, 104 tomorrow. So I'm planting 1 gallon plants, not a lot of water retention there, right? So they're going to rely on the soil staying cool to mitigate that evaporation. That radiant heat hits the soil and that water evaporates. So it's important for us to have mulch present. I've got some products here, not necessarily cheap products, but products if you can get your plants for $1, $2, $4 at the most this time of year, I think it's a wise investment because then you get to keep the plants you just purchased and they don't die. Okay, so the first product that I wanted to talk about, Tree Saver. You guys have seen me use this before. This is Roots Tree Saver. Now, they also make a product called Roots Transplant Pack. It's the same stuff. This is just marketed for professionals, where the Root Transplant is more marketed for the residential side. So if you see either one of those, I do like Roots. This is a good company. And you can find this at Forestry Supply. You can find this on Amazon. I'll try to put a link in the description to some on Amazon, but unfortunately I haven't done that in a while. I just kind of use the same links in my description. Let's see if I can figure that out, because I'm not overly bright. You guys know that. I'm not the bright shining star in the room. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Coming from a poor guy like me, I mean, I'm so poor that I couldn't afford a beard this week. Yeah, they repoed my beard. Yeah, inflation has gotten so high that I'm not allowed to grow a beard because I can't. Actually, I trimmed the beard because I wanted to remind myself how fat I've gotten. That's really the reason. I say to myself, you've lost 20 pounds, you're feeling good, all sassy. And then I shave my beard and it brings me down. It brings my ego down a little bit because I need to get my head through the door. What are we doing? So Tree Saver has beneficial fungus and beneficial bacteria in it, but it also has a very important component. It's called Terrasorb, which is a copolymer that absorbs 200 times its weight in water, and that's all in one packet. Now, I like to use about a tablespoon per 1 gallon, and you mix that with the soil that goes back in the hole. The more thoroughly you mix that, the better chance it's going to be distributed around that root ball, right? Kind of encasing that root ball with moisture and good bacteria and good fungus. And good fungus will start colonizing relatively quickly. Okay, if it's still viable in these packs, right? Because there's a time frame on these packs. I mean, I think they'll last a year in that dormant spore form. Don't buy these out of somebody's basement who would have been there for 6 years. You see what I'm saying? Endo and ectomycorrhizal fungi, beneficial bacteria. It also has humic acid, which is very important to make all of this work. So what I like to do is I like to sprinkle this around the hole, and then I like to just rub my hand on the inside and just make sure it's nice and thoroughly mixed, and then mix it with the backfill that goes in the hole. So that is Tree Saver. Now this is, you've pretty much got one chance to use Tree Saver, and that's when you plant something. The same thing with Dr. Earth. I like to incorporate it into the backfill. That's how I like to fertilize things. We're kind of on a voluntary water restriction here in my town. If we don't get rain soon, it's not gonna be voluntary anymore. So we're watering every other day. I water my hot spots when I come home from work. So I do water every day. I water the hot spots because nothing will live. So that's Tree Saver. That's one thing that I really recommend you kind of look into. I sell this for $3.77 a bag. So it's roughly a little under $1 an ounce, because these are 4-ounce packets. So all you got to do is use this once. The beneficial bacteria will start to colonize, the beneficial fungus will start to colonize, and the copolymer isn't biodegradable. So it's going to continue to absorb 200 times its weight in water and redistribute that into the profile for the rest of the life of that plant. I guess, well, forever, I guess. I really like that. It's inert. That's what they put in baby diapers. I don't think it's an end-all for watering. I don't think it's a substitution for that, but what I do think it does is it reduces the amount of stress that the plant's going to go through until you water again. It'll buy you a day. Like, it's not like you're going to use something that has Terrasorb in it and then that's it. You're never going to have to water again. That's not how it's going to work. Another product that I like to use is Biopack. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. These guys don't pay me anything. I mean, they could. I would be open to that. Yeah, I would be open to that. I've used this for, I mean, at least 15 years, maybe 20 years. I think I've probably used this for 20 years to reduce stress. So it's a soil inoculant, so it's got beneficial bacteria in it. You can use it as a drench, right? So this is Biopack Plus. I'm just gonna run through the list for you. Manganese, sulfur, boron, iron, magnesium, zinc. It's got chelated iron in it. 3, 4, 5, 6 different varieties of beneficial bacteria. But really it rehydrates the plants and it just reduces the shock. So it's a 3020 nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, top growth, root growth, overall plant health. So that's the way that I've always thought of this. So basically you're really trying to get these things really, really healthy. I sell this for $25 a bag and it's 1 pound. So this is at my nursery. I'm not gonna sell this to you unless you walk into my nursery, but $25 for 1 pound. It is not cheap. This is not a cheap product to put on your plants. So what I like to do is I like to mix up a 5-gallon bucket and I like to just kind of dunk my plants while they're still in the pot in the 5-gallon bucket till I don't see any more air bubbles. Then I pull it up, I let it drain for a couple minutes. But in the heat, that's very hard to do because I'm in and out when I'm planting stuff. That's why I love the power planter. I'm about getting in, planting, and moving on. So what I like to do is I like to mix up, there's a little scooper in here. It's 1 scoop per gallon. I like to mix up a 5-gallon bucket. Usually I'll put 4 scoops and I'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket. I know there's, maybe half a gallon distance because of the water displacement property, right? I'm gonna dunk my plant. I don't want it overflowing and wasting it. So usually you put it 4 scoops in and I'll do about 4 gallons in a 5-gallon bucket. And then I just immediately pull them out and I put them right where I'm gonna plant them. So any water, any of this Biopack that's draining out is going to go into the soil. And then we have the Dr. Earth. This is Dr. Earth all-purpose fertilizer, and I'm gonna incorporate that with my backfill in addition to the Tree Saver. Now, could you do Dr. Earth and tear open a bunch of baby diapers and get some Terrasorb out of it? Absolutely you could. This has just got nowhere near the concentration of mycorrhizal fungi, and that's why this is so much more expensive. Soil Moist is another brand of a copolymer that you can use and mix it in the backfill when you go to plant. I think you guys would be really surprised with how little stress your plants go through even in this extreme heat because the soil is saturated with available moisture. So as far as the hillbilly irrigation system goes, that's really what I'm excited about. That's really what I want to talk to you guys about the most. So this is produced by Rainbird. It's a little stem that you can stick in the ground and you connect it with this pipe. See this pipe here? And this is 1/4 inch blank 100-foot coil. So 100 feet of this goes a long way. And this is relatively inexpensive. This isn't too bad. And to tell you the truth, a lot of the times how I have this organized, I'll use like a 3-foot strip to get to the back of the bed. And then at the front of the bed, I'll just use a couple inches of it really. And so you guys I'm gonna show you that. So this slides in here like this. Give it a little twistaroo, right? So you see how that goes? And then this will be attached to your main line, which is what we're gonna call that. I use a Hunter brand drip hose that's a blank. So it's called a blank drip hose. It doesn't have any emitters inside. And I'm just using it to carry water to these guys right here. Now at the top, if you just planted it right now, it would just spray out of the top. That would be kind of funny to watch, but it wouldn't water your plants very well. So what you do is you get some of these little spray heads. So this little spray head is a 180, and it's by Rainbird also. I'm gonna flash a picture of the packaging so you know what to find if you are looking to doing this. And it just kind of screws on the top. Very simple. It's a very simple design. Like that, and you'll see that it's a 180. I mean, you'll know exactly what happens. The water shoots up and it hits this little top cap, which has somewhat of a wedge in it, and then it shoots the water out. Very simple. This little guy right here, you can see me turning that. This controls the flow of the water. You will be super surprised how many of these you can put on a hose and then run that via hose from your house. It's not overly complicated. I wanted you to see how simple this is to do. So you can do that right there. And then these guys right here. This is Rainbird Barb 1/4 inch. Jeez Louise. Okay, so there's 50 in a package. So I just bought a package because I've used quite a few of these. This is going to be poked in to your brown drip, right? So you just poke it in. And I like this guy. This was like, I don't know, like $4 or $5. And this little guy snaps in, and then you use, I like to do a pilot hole with a sod staple. I like to just poke a little pilot hole, and then I just pop this in, and it even makes a pop sound because it's barbed so it doesn't come back out. And once you've done that, then you can attach it to your black hose, right? And then now you've created an opening in that pipe. The water is going to flow through here. It's going to flow up here. It's going to hit that 180, and then it's going to spread that water out. It works very good. We run our zones, I guess, I use that term loosely, an hour a day. So every other day is what we're doing now. And it does a really good job of keeping all this stuff alive. I mean, if you look, I haven't had rain in 7 weeks. We're going on week 8 with no rain and 100-degree weather, at least upper 90s. I mean, we feel like it's great when it's only 93. We're excited. Our plants do great at 93. But and you can also get these in 360s. You can get them in side strips where they're just going to spray like just to the sides. If you have a smaller bed that you wanted to do that to, yeah, tons of really good options for just the residential landscape. If you wanted to do this yourself, it's a great opportunity for you guys to save a lot of money and keep your plants alive. So let me show you how I install this. All right, so I have my hose. Now this is that blank Hunter hose. Hunter is a irrigation supply company, irrigation supplier. They at my branch where I work, we sell irrigation supplies, so I have this readily available. I've seen drip hose like this that has emitters in it at Lowe's. I have seen that. I've also seen the blank stuff at Lowe's where it doesn't have any emitters in it. Now, you need them both in equal parts sometimes because you have, where do I put this so I don't lose this little coupler? It's tiny. You drop one of those in the grass, you're not finding it. That's just how it works. It's a good thing all the grass is dead. So these guys are XB20PC, and this is an emitter that you install. So say you were running this throughout your flower bed. You're not going to do sprays. All you're going to do is drip. They make it to where it has a 0.9 gallon an hour emitter every 12 inches. So you can just run it through your flower beds, figure eight it around plants, right? Connect it to your hose, voila. But if you didn't want to do that, like say you had plants that were far away, right? And you don't want to water the entire flower bed because you're trying to build maybe privacy, right? With some green giant arborvitae or some Virison arborvitae or something like that. And every 10 feet you have a arborvitae and you'd wrap it around, and then you would put in a 2 gallon an hour emitter or a 3 gallon or a 5 gallon even, and you'd puncture the hose right with this side, and then this would just drip out. Now if I can make a recommendation in this, I would not bury your emitters with mulch. I would mulch first, and then I would go back and I would do this around. And I know it's a little unsightly in the beginning, but keep in mind that you need to walk around every once in a while, at least a couple times a week when you fire this up, to make sure these emitters are working. You know, Garden Answer, she was walking around and she says, well, the drip didn't work on this one. One of those drip emitters got clogged, right? Maybe the plastic, when you punch it through, it doesn't work as well, so it's not getting as much water. Sometimes these will separate and they'll spray weird. Well, underneath the mulch, you're not going to see that. I like to look to make sure these drip emitters are emitting, right? So we're going to kind of do something very similar to that with these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that black pipe to this, and I'm going to run the black pipe to my hydrangeas in the back, and I'm going to pin them down. Right, so that way I don't have to worry about the hydrangeas only getting water from the sprays. They're also going to be getting water from these emitters, and they're going to get about 2 gallons extra, which is really important for hydrangeas. Remember, water vessel, they need water, they like the agua. So, but I'm going to show you right now, I want to show you how we're doing these. So you saw me put this together, and I'm just really going to just shove this in the ground, make sure it's facing 180, and it's going to go down that side, it's going to go that side, and it's going to shoot up the hill. All right, so let me do that there. Okay, so now I need to puncture a hole in the brown pipe. So I'm going to just punch a little hole in there. Don't push this too hard and go all the way through the other side, because then you have to buy something called a goof plug, which means you goofed, and you have to puncture those goof plugs on both sides. It gets sporty. You don't want to do it. Then I'm going to take my little coupler, right? So this guy here, I'm going to pop it into my little Rainbird drip emitter tool, and I'm going to put it in that hole that I just created. I'm going to listen for the pop. See that pop? And then I pull it off. Now, there is an opening in that pipe. And I'm going to connect that opening to this opening here with this black tubing. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to fire that up, and I want to show you guys how that works. Now, I would say you could put these every 5 feet and be more than fine, because these do shoot a pretty decent distance, but it's going to depend on your water pressure. So be cognizant of the fact that if you're running this off of a hose, and let me show you how to do that. Before we run this, let me show you how I'm connecting things with the hose. Okay, how I'm connecting all of this with the hose. How this is connected, this brown pipe, let me take a hip here like a basset hound. This brown pipe is actually a compression, this is a compression fitting. So you slide that brown pipe in between, right? So the white part goes in the center of the brown pipe, And then once you've committed to that, it's very hard to get these back out once you've pushed that in. So I like to do this in the center of my run. So if I have a 50-foot run, I go to the 25-foot length of pipe and I make a cut. I put one side here, and then here I'm going to use, now these are made by Rainbird also, I'm going to connect my hose adapter, right? So this is adapted to this hose. It's going to just go right onto the hose like this. Boom. And then this attaches just like the black hose is. Now once I pop this in, once this clicks, it's never coming out. You're committed now. So you just want to make sure you're in the right place when you do this. Now the reason you go into the middle is that way the water comes out of your house, goes in here, it only has to go 25 feet that way and 25 feet this way, right? If you were doing a 100-foot run, you would start at the 100 or the 50 mark, right? So 50 feet that way, 50. It's very consistent pressure. Your pressure is consistent. What I typically end up doing, because again, I'm saving money, is if I'm doing a 100-foot run or a 200-foot run, I'll go to the midpoint and then I will put zip ties at the end. I will just bend it over and put a couple zip ties at the end. It's a little bit more economical than buying plugs and things like that, but for the most part, it seems to work very, very well for me. So once we've done this, there is cheaper ways to do this. There is teas and all sorts of jazz out on the market. They always have leaked for me, right? Some people says, well, I've never had one leak. This is the way that I like to go. I have converted everything else back to this because I tried a different product made by, they were white and they leaked like a sieve. I mean, I put new washers in there. It didn't help at all. I mean, what a junky product. And so I'll spend an extra $2 if I'm not spraying water all like some kind of psychopath. I'll spend the extra money. I don't mind doing that. So let me show you this guy all fired up. Okay, so we're gonna let this run for an hour. Today is our watering day. And as you can see, it pretty thoroughly covers this flower bed. I put another one in the back. I might wanna redo how I have their 360 sprays in here. I did get some heads that were 360s, and I've been running those all week, and I kind of put them in the center of the burn, hoping that they would do a good job in the center. I feel like I probably should have just done 180s down at the bottom and then 180s at the top. Had a meet in the middle kind of sitch. But yeah, it looks pretty good. It's pretty inexpensive to do, guys, and especially if you can get a good deal on some of these parts. You should be able to use the item numbers to look some of this stuff up on Amazon. I'm really not concerned at all if you use my Amazon links or not. I think I make $2.50 a month on Amazon. It's not that big. It's not that big of a deal. I would rather you spend that $2.50 collectively as a group. So right, the 3 cents that I'm going to get if you buy some of this on Amazon, not that big of a deal. I'm not saying I'm not thankful. I really am. It helps me. It helps the channel so I can make more content like this. But in all actuality, I really want you guys to succeed. If you can find these at a brick and mortar store, you can pause the video and look for the stock numbers and read them off to the guy and find out if you have these if they have these sort of things. Fantastic. Or you can go to Lowe's and buy a kit. They have kits there where you can do this very same thing. It's almost probably a little easier because you don't have to track down all the individual pieces. I mean, you can see it works and it mitigates my maintenance. It really does. I don't have to hand water for 2.5 hours every single day because I spent about $200 getting it for the whole property. All right, guys. My name's Stuart Moore. Thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about keeping plants alive. See you later.